Welcome, my dreadful darlings, to my channel, where we shall discuss all things dark fantasy and horror in the realms of publishing. I am your host, the phantasmic Paul Jessup. I've had over 25 years' experience in publishing all things dark, horrific, and fantastical. I've had about 137 short stories published, give or take one or two. It's been 25 years. I've had about 8 books now and counting published in the small press. And so I'm going to take my experience, my vast, horrific experience, and partake my information onto you, my viewers. I'll probably be bringing in a lot of guests who will be discussing, like editors, publishers, other writers, and we're going to be talking about all things fun, dark, and horrific, including what a publisher usually looks for in a book, what they look for in a short story, how an editor goes about doing their work, how they select what they're going to publish, and that sort of thing. Usually, what we're going to be talking about is going to be in regards to the small press, because that is what I personally have experience with, and that's what I know the best. And that's something I don't think you see a lot of on YouTube. You see people usually talking about self-publishing or things like the rules of publishing, that sort of thing. And I think we're going to, for this channel, be at a different level. We're not going to be about self-publishing because that's a different experience altogether. And we're not going to talk about like rules of writing and that kind of thing because I think we're beyond that now. Don't you? That just seems to be something that is good for when you're starting out, maybe because it's something that you can lean on as a sort of a crutch to tell yourself, okay, this is improving my story this way, or this is improving my story that way. But really, until you ingest a lot of writing and read and read and write and write until it becomes a kind of a muscle memory of story, you don't really know what's going to work or not, and how it's going to work for you and your specific voice and that sort of thing. And so I think this channel is going to be for like a level above that, level above the just starting out, and it's going to be more aimed more towards people who are like in a certain stage in their career, and would be interested in learning about what I'm talking about, as well as just in general, the horror publishing industry and dark fantasy publishing industry and genre publishing. We're going to not just talk about like what it takes to get published, and we're not going to just talk to people who've already been published and what it's like to be published, that sort of thing. Because again, those are all very interesting. We're going to do that, but that's individual experiences. We're also going to talk about the industry as a whole. I'm going to talk about like the treacherous boom and bust cycle that a lot of fantasy, sci-fi, and horror goes through. That I think is personally very detrimental to the field. For a healthy field, it needs to be more robust and not just focusing on something that they think is going to sell no matter what. Because usually when that happens is you have one or two popular novels that sets the groundwork and then thousands of little imitators, and it creates like a bubble, and it's similar to like a stock market bubble, and then eventually it crashes. And I know a lot of people like to ride that bubble high before it crashes, but it's really, personally, honestly, I think for myself, it makes it hard for any writer to build a career. uh, there's a lot of other nuances we're going to go into at other points too, like the fact that even though technically speaking, like debuts aren't supposed to be good like things because they're not sure things. A lot of publishers are focusing on debuts a lot and making some writers actually change their names to become a debut, even if they've already stuff published. And how it doesn't make sense, even the logic, like, oh, well, they don't have any history behind them. That's true. Uh, but that still doesn't make any sense when you look at the reason why publishers market and buy books in the first place. So that's another thing we're going to go to. Again, we're just going to talk about all this. No holds bars. I'm not going to hold back any of my punches or my teeth, as it were, as a vampire. um, yeah, and we're just going to get into the nitty gritty here, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Um, We will. I'll probably have some people on here that will talk about self-publishing or publishing in the Big Five. Two things again that I don't have any experience with, but I have friends that have done both of those and do very well at that, and would probably want to talk about it quite a bit. That sort of thing. So you can get like a more well-rounded experience with everything that goes on here. That's the idea anyway. That's my thought. So I'm also going to talk about my own books, about publishing for me, that sort of thing. I'm going to be doing some live events, some reels, just some stuff that's a lot of fun. One live event I do want to do is this upcoming weekend, Saturday. There's going to be the Lake Erie Literary Festival, which I'm going to be actually at signing books, meeting and greeting other horror writers. It's going to be a lot of fun, as well as other horror readers. I'm going to be selling books. I think one of my favorite things is actually meeting people that I haven't talked to before yet that either write or read horror and discussing this genre of ours, which is just a beloved genre. I mean, that's what it is. It's our beloved genre. And in order to do that one, though, I need to get 25 more subscribers. I need 50 subscribers to do the live event. So here's hoping I can get those before next Saturday, but we'll see. I mean, it can go either way. If not, I'll just record it and then post it later, as I'm doing with this one, and as I'm going to do with another one later in this week. So that's exciting. One other one I want to do in the near future is the Erie Horror Fest. Do like a live stream from there, because I'll be doing stuff there as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe my next, because I've got a book launch happening October 7th, as well as like a book signing probably later in that week for my next book, Cancer Eats the Heart, which is coming out from Underland Press. Again, October 7th of this year. That's my vampire book. It's basically the chronically ill and disabled turn to vampirism as a cure. And obviously it goes horribly wrong. As somebody with multiple sclerosis, this is a topic that's very close to my heart. So it's a very personal horror story. And I think that I'm hoping it's going to chime well with a lot of other people who have been in similar experiences. So that's going to be great. My last book, Suicide Music, was also a very personal book, dealing with depression, self-harm, that sort of stuff. And I've talked to readers from that, and a lot of readers actually do feel like that connected with them. And it was a very personal story for them too. And I think that's amazing. So I'm glad I was able to do that and connect with them on that level. And I'm hoping I can do the same with you, because I think that's one of the things that fiction does really well, is it communicates and it talks and it creates like a conversation between people who have never met before. It's a kind of telepathy or magic. It's amazing stuff. So that's, more of the stuff I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to wrap this up here now because we've had a horribly good time. As the kids like to say, like, subscribe, ring the ding ding the bell or whatever. But honestly, to me, you can really do it. You could like go out and buy a book of mine or two. They're small. They're delicious little, like delightful little tasty treats of terror. And that's lots of fun. You can do so at my website, pauljessup.com. You can also just Google my name, Paul Jessup, or go onto Amazon, type in Paul Jessup, and it'll bring up my books. Or you can go to the publisher's website. That's probably the preferred method, honestly, because it gives money directly to the publisher, and they do awesome stuff, and it's really cool. I mean, my two recent books, Third Estate Book and Underland Press, are the ones who did them, and they deserve our money, because they're really awesome, and I want to keep seeing them do more cool stuff. So yeah, do that, and tune back in at a different point where I'll be discussing all sorts of cool, fun stuff, like why I go with small publishing compared to self-publishing or the Big Five press. And it's actually an interesting voyage, and there's a lot of ins and outs of that, so that'll be very cool. Some of the other stuff I'm going to be talking about, maybe some book reviews. I'll be talking about The Darkening Garden, which is a book by John Clute, which is more of a book about horror and horror writing that's really fascinating, as well as Junji Ito's Uncanny, Mark Fisher's Uncanny and the Weird, The Weird and Eerie, I think that's what it's called. I'll be talking about those kind of books where it's more of a philosophical look at horror itself as a kind of review. It's fascinating stuff. I really dig that sort of stuff. Even though I don't think about that stuff while I write, I like to think about it anyway because it's actually a lot of fun. And if you're on Blue Sky, also, I'm on Blue Sky too as pauljessup.com. because I'm fancy like that. I got my own .com name, no at bluesky.social or whatever it is. No, it's just pauljessup.com. Check it out, especially if you like Blue Sky. Every Saturday, we do something called Horror Watch. It's a lot of fun. We all get together, we watch a horror movie, we talk about it in real time. It's a blast. I'm also on Facebook, as well as like a bunch of other places. Just look for me. You'll find me. Google my name. I come up, links on my website, that sort of thing. So it'll be a blast. I hope to see you around and have a terrifying night tonight.